go back and watch the film.
And then he fired his staff.
And then he fired his staff.
And then, oh my God, what have we done here?
Yeah, I mean, like, that's so great about it. Yeah. So, okay, here we go. Here's a statement from head coach Mike Tomlin. Matt Canada has been relieved of his duties as offensive coordinator. I appreciate Matt's hard work and dedication, and I wish him the best moving forward in his career. It sure sounds like it. Definitely.
Do you reckon he's suggesting a new line of work for Matt Canada?
Yeah.
Throw his hand in insurance.
To be fair, Mike Tomlin stood by him for maybe a year too long. Maybe I'm being kind.
Honestly, I think way too long.
Fantasy-wise, I think it's only good just because it's different. And what was happening in current Steelers land was a complete disaster. I guess the Cleveland game was the last straw there, where they just could get absolutely nothing going. Kenny Pickett has gone backwards as a player in his second year. And so I think there is talent on this offense. Pickett showed signs at the end of last season. He was leading game-winning drives in primetime back-to-back weeks. He looked like he was going to take a leap this year with the way Jalen Warren is playing. Deontay Johnson and George Pickens are very solid receivers. Pat Fryermuth, the offensive line is playing better. There is talent here, and so now we'll find out if it was this game.
They've just massively underperformed, and so it's one of those things that's like, I think you can, much like what NBC sees when they see a performance from us under Pete, it's a little bit of like, well, you've got talent there, do something with it. For the love of God. Maybe that's Pete's new nickname, is Matt Canada.
Oh, no.
Is that too mean?
That's too far.
Is that a bridge too far?
Yeah, he was going to stick with P-Bag.
He's in my ear.
So who's Kenny Pickett then? Kenny Pickett?
I think it's probably me.
I'll be Deontay Johnson.
It's probably me. It's fine. You can be Deontay Johnson. I'm probably Kenny Pickett.
Can I be Broderick Jones instead? I don't want anything to do with
T.J. Watt. Exactly.
I'll take that one. Yeah.
No, in all seriousness, and we love Pete. He does a great job. He's a good sport. What I was going to say here is, though, yes, there is legit talent on this team, and we actually thought, and by we, I'll say me, I thought Kenny Pickett was going to have a really nice year. He was a sleeper. I had on my others receiving votes in love-hate preseason as well. I thought they looked really nice in the preseason. We did like Jalen Warren a lot as a sleeper. We did like George Pickens to emerge in year two, and it just hasn't happened. Only one team in the NFL has fewer passing yards per game this year than the Pittsburgh Steelers, which when you think about the talent, again, in the passing game, specifically on this team, I guess jury is still out on Kenny Pickett, but ultimately that's part of an offense coordinator's job, is to develop a guy that was a consensus first-round pick coming out of Pitt.
Right, and I'm sure a guy that fought to draft Kenny Pickett. You don't have your offensive coordinator in place and just take whatever quarterback you want. The offensive coordinator should be part of that process, so you can't just blame Pickett entirely here, as much as he's struggled on his own. And when we've seen Trubisky play, he's struggled on his own as well. And I mean, the bottom line is, when you're a bottom five scoring and total offense since you're hired, which is 2 years ago,
right,
you are not going to be able to retain your job. And you're right, they have enough skill talent.
People have been calling for his head for a long time.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think, spinning it forward in terms of what it means for fantasy, I believe the play caller is going to be the running backs coach.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
his name is Eddie Faulkner.
Right, so Eddie Faulkner. So I think this feels good for Jalen Warren. The one thing that's working on their offense right now is Jalen Warren. Much like Jay Croucher, Matt Canada stubbornly stuck by Najee Harris, probably a little bit too long. Very similar to you and Matt Canada. You guys are basically twins.
On that randomly, so I built my fantasy team in the show league around the Pittsburgh Steelers, which wasn't a great move. In the preseason, looked better. So I have Najee Harris, Pat Fryermuth, Deontay Johnson all on my team. My team's terrible, but my team somehow only has 4 losses like the Steelers. And not just that. Every week the Steelers win, my team wins. Every week they lose, I lose. It's like we're just
You're the Steelers.
Galactically intertwined. I am the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Did you hire anyone this week?
Yeah.
Something to think about.
Yeah. No, I just dropped. I fired Justice Hill. He's not doing anything for me.
It's fair enough. But nowhere to go but up, because again, we do believe there is talent in Deontay Johnson and George Pickens. They are getting Pat Fryermuth back. I think this is good news for Jalen Warren, who I think should continue to separate himself from Najee Harris. Like, you're the running backs coach, and the one thing that's working is, one of your guys. Again, the clip we played was somebody saying, like, Jalen Warren got more production than all the other Steelers combined. Should you have gotten him more than 12 touches? And Tomlin basically, you could tell he was sort of fumbling. He's just like, I'm comfortable with whatever the coaches call, and then
you go back and look, and you're like, wow, we really blew this one.
He fired Matt Canada, and Schefter had a tweet here today, and this is per an ESPN stats researcher, Paul Hembo. History today, and when the Steelers fired offensive coordinator Matt Canada today, this is Schefter's tweet. It marked the first time they've made an in-season coaching change since 1941, per Paul Hembo. The last time the Steelers fired a head coach coordinator mid-season was 1941, when the team's half-owner Bert Bell fired himself. Like, that's how legitimately, like, you don't lose your job in Pittsburgh. Like, that's how historically bad this team has been. So nowhere to go but up. I'm actually, am I crazy? But I'm kind of buying low here on Deontay Johnson, George Pickens, maybe not Najee Harris, but Freiermuth is out there in some leagues. He's not 100% rostered, and I guess I wouldn't be getting rid of Johnson and Pickens despite how bad they've been the last couple of weeks.
Yep, agreed. They've been outgained in all 10 games. The streak continues, and they're 6-4 somehow.
Right, and wide open AFC.
Yep.
So,
by the way, and they play the Bengals this week. Over the last 4 weeks, there's only one team in the NFL that's given up more passing yards per game than the Cincinnati Bengals. So, and that's now you've got Jake Browning that's going to have to face the Steelers defense. Maybe they get the ball in good field position. There's some turnovers there as well because the Steelers defense is playing better.
Yeah, and just last thing on this, that is the thing with the Steelers. Their next stretch of games, at Cincinnati, home Arizona, home New England, at Indy, and then home Cincinnati. Like, that's as good as it gets.
They made the change at the right time.
Yes.
Like, it's a real nice stretch to, if you want to give this kid, if you want to give the offense and the coordinator a chance at success, there's a nice stretch coming up here as well. Hey, it's Matthew Berry from NBCSports.com and RotoWorld.com, and I want to thank you so much for watching whatever it is you just watched, or if nothing else, being too lazy to click out of the autoplay after this video started, after whatever it is you actually wanted to watch finished. But now that you're here, I'd like to take a moment here to ask you respectfully now, okay? I'm asking you respectfully to subscribe to the NFL on NBC YouTube channel. You'll get the latest RotoWorld fantasy news headlines, all sorts of great shows, including my own Fantasy Football Happy Hour. So go subscribe now. Again, I'm asking respectfully.